Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the room on tonight. We are grateful that you have joined us again on tonight. Go ahead and like, love, and share. Um, of course, in the comments, you know how social media is. Go ahead and tell us where you're from. Go ahead and tell us how did you hear about us. Share this with somebody, like it and love it. I pray that you got the opportunity to go back and watch the rest of the assignment. We had some technical difficulties last week. However, literally God was like, because I wasn't through. And so on this past Sunday, we had the opportunity to go back and to share and finish the assignment tonight. I know y'all like, she just jumped right in. She don't ask where you from, she don't ask what you're doing, she asks how you doing. So I hope that everybody's well. I hope that all is well. I hope you've had a great day so far. Listen, before we get started, there's so much that's happening in the world, y'all. We cannot be oblivious. We cannot pretend like there's not a lot of things that is happening around us. And so whenever God gives you an assignment, whenever God tells you to do something, whenever God gives you an assignment, it is imperative that you follow through. And so let me tell you, in all transparency, sometimes I'm debating. If you see this pop up a little late, it's because I'm debating, God, do I want to go on? God, should I go on? And so then I have to be reminded, hey, are you trying to make this an option? So your assignment is not an option. Your assignment is not an option. That's for somebody already. Your assignment is not an option. You don't get to decide. You don't get to choose whether you do it or not. Your job is to operate in full obedience. Okay, that's your job. That's your job, to operate in full obedience. And so I was listening to this podcast today. I don't remember the name of the podcast, but the guest that was on the podcast was saying sometimes when we get lethargic and sometimes when we get caught up in our feelings, it is literally the enemy trying to hijack and pervert your obedience. Because he knows if you ever sit down long enough and him and hum and overthink it, 9 times out of 10, no, 10 times out of 10, you're probably not going to do it. So if you don't operate in quick obedience, you are literally talking yourself out of what God is calling you to do. And so sometimes we wonder why we feel some type of way. We wonder why we feel defeated. We wonder why we feel like, oh God, did I miss it again? And God is like, hey, we have enough. Ooh, I really just saying in my notes. And so literally God is like, don't we have enough history for you to trust me by now? Don't we have enough history for you to trust me by now? So if you've been doing this thing, if you've been walking this walk for quite some time, if you've been walking this walk since you were in was it poodle skirts and frilly socks, literally God is saying, so you mean to tell me we still don't have enough history? I still have not proven myself enough to you. So do we not have enough history? So are we not good? And so sometimes it will cause you to have to reevaluate your relationship with God to say, hey, maybe it's not God that's the issue. Maybe it's not the other people that's the issue. Maybe the issue really is me. And so, okay, but I ain't coming here to talk about yourself. But I'm just saying, getting back to sometimes I'm very hesitant. And literally, it's just kind of like, okay, God, I don't know. Are people going to come? Are people going to listen? This and the other. And so he's like, when you do that, you're making it about you. He said, all you got to do is get in position. So that leads to tonight. So tonight, of course, this is what we talk about. Welcome to the room. If this is your first time, welcome. My name is Dr. Gina Crawford. Thank you for joining us on tonight. Go ahead and like, love, and share this. This is just a place where we talk about what we talk about, right? And so I am a believer that everything that happens in the natural has spiritual connotations. And so I was in the car maybe 2 weeks or so ago. And so I'm in the car. I'm trying to get to work. I'm trying to get to where I need to be. And I hear this noise, ding, ding, ding. And so I'm driving. The noise is just going off. And so I'm trying to I'm literally driving. So I'm driving, I'm trying to get situated, this and the other. So my mind is on getting to where I need to be. My mind is on getting to work. My mind is on, okay, I hope there's not enough I hope there's not traffic. I hope, the path is clear, this and the other. So meanwhile, I hear this noise, ding, ding, ding. And so I'm like, what is that noise? The noise, the sound, the alarm was going off because I did not fasten my seatbelt. I hadn't fastened my seatbelt. And so it kept going off. And I was like, well, what is it? It did not stop until I fastened the seatbelt. Some of us have been hearing alarms in the spirit, and it's because your seatbelt is really not fastened. So I have this question, and sometimes we think we're in a good position. Sometimes we think that we're good to go. Sometimes we think that, okay, because I'm doing this, I'm showing up for prayer, I'm showing up for Bible study, I'm showing up for these different podcasts, for these different lives, I'm showing up to church. Sometimes we just assume that we're good. And so when you're talking about a seatbelt, this is what came to my mind. I kid y'all not. I got convicted. And so literally God is saying, yeah, think about it. When you put on your seatbelt, you have to be seated. You have to be seated. Some of us can't get to where we're trying to go to because we won't be still long enough to be seated. We won't be still long enough to be seated. Let that sit there. Let that marinate. You can't get to where you're trying to get to because you won't be still enough to be seated. You won't be still enough to hear what God is saying to you. You won't be still enough to get in a place where you need to be. You won't be still enough to get planted. You won't be still enough because every little wind that blows, you headed to the left. Every little wind that if it goes to the right, you going to the right along with it. Every little trend that pops up, we popping up right along with it. And so you can't be still long enough to be seated, but you are frustrated with God and you're frustrated with other people. And God is saying, all you have to do is sit down somewhere. Sit down somewhere. And so I was in the car, and I was like, that's a whole word. There are alarms going off around this world. There are alarms going off in our churches. There are alarms going off in our schools. There are alarms going off in our homes, and we have chosen to ignore them. Alarms is going off. So what happens is we become so desensitized and immune to the sound, which equates to the fact that God is saying, hey, some of my children, some of the people who say that they're my children, you have become so desensitized and immune to sin until you don't even hear the alarms going off. You don't hear the alarms going off. And if you hear the alarms going off, you are so bent on doing things your way until you will not be seated. You won't be seated. Some of us are choosing not to be seated. You know why? I think I said this Sunday at church. We choose not to be seated. We choose not to be still. We choose not to get in place because, truth be told, we don't like nobody telling us what to do. We don't like, think about it. We don't like, it could be the apostle, it could be the bishop. We don't like nobody telling us what to do. And here's the thing. So I was thinking about life, right? And so, here it is. Here we go. Here we go. We go from Monday. No, let's start at childhood, right? So we started at childhood, people telling us what to do. Then we get into being a teenager, people telling us what to do. And then we go to college, people telling us what to do. And then here it is, we are in adulthood, we go to work, somebody's still telling us what to do. So from Monday to Saturday, somebody's telling us what to do. So here comes Sunday or whatever time you go to church. Now you are determined, ain't nobody else gonna tell me what to do. I don't care if you from God or not. So now you refuse. The enemy has tricked you into thinking that you don't need to get somewhere and sit down so that you can hear. So what happens? Did y'all okay, I'm of the age. I know I'm telling my age. So anybody remember when Sunday used to be sacred? Or whatever day that day was sacred. That day was sacred. It wasn't no going to the movies. It wasn't no going to the game. There was no going to the dance. There was no doing this, doing that. Sunday was sacred. And then here it is, you came, you got until like noon. So you listen to the gospel from like 7 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to like noon. And then it switch over to the hip hop and to the R&B and that kind of thing. And so what has happened is we have slowly been unseated. We have slowly given up our seat. We have slowly given up our seat. And so the signals are going off, but we have chosen to ignore it. Well, that's just the way the world is now. You have to kind of blend in. Y'all too deep. Y'all Christians now, y'all just too deep. And so here it is. God is saying, now, Gina, you're trying to get somewhere. So what you hear is a sign. It's a warning that if you choose not to get seated, then you are choosing not to be protected. If you are choosing not to be seated, then you are choosing not to be protected. I don't know if y'all remember. Again, I'm dating myself. So way back in the day, well, I ain't gonna say way back in the day. I ain't that old. So back in the day, well, okay, when I was a little girl, okay, when I was younger, y'all remember when you were in the car with your family members, especially like an older family member, and they had to slam on brakes? Y'all remember they would put their arm out? Like you might move forward, but they would put their arm out to shield you. They would put their arm out to protect you. And you thinking, okay, so as I got old, I was like, what your arm gonna do? But in their mind, because you are with me, I've got to protect you. Oh yeah, I'm telling you, sometimes like, oh, it's just second nature. You just, especially if you grew up like that. Then it was where you had the automatic seatbelts, right? So when you got into the car, it was automatic. The little thing, seatbelt came over and it locked you in, right? So then it shifted because let me tell you, I had an experience of that. I have to tell you about that later. I had to cut myself out the seatbelt. It's a whole nother story. Anyway, but then you went to, okay, you have to do this thing yourself. You have to do this thing yourself. So when you talk about being seated and you talk about this seatbelt inside the way, if you look at the word seatbelt, I kid you not, y'all, I don't be making this stuff up. When you look at the word seatbelt, inside the word seatbelt is the word stable. When you decide to get seated, woo. When you decide to get seated, you are making a decision to be stable. When you decide to get into the place where God has ordained you to be, you're saying, God, I want to be stable. I want to be stable. When you decide to be seated in the place and the places where God has told you to get seated, you're saying, I want to be in position. And you're saying, I want to be seated. When you look at the word position, oh, y'all, somebody type the word position in the chat for me, please, please, and thank you, please. Type the word position in the chat for me. Type the word position in there. The word position. This just dropped, y'all. When you are in position inside the word position is to sit on. To sit on. That means you have a guaranteed place. You have a spot to sit on, to rest on. Inside the word position, if you look at those first four letters inside the word position, or look at those letters in position, pull out the word post. You have a post to sit on. That's why you got to be seated. That's why you got to get somewhere. That's why you got to get committed. Because when you decide to put the seatbelt on, when you decide to get seated, you are saying, I'm in position. You're saying, I'm in a posture. You're saying, I have a post that I need to sit on. But here's the thing about that seatbelt. You have to strap yourself in. Now, oh, okay, let's go here, right? When you're talking about children, you're talking about infants, you're talking about toddlers, they don't know how to strap themselves in. They don't know how to make the connection yet. But if you are the driver, if you have been in the seat or position for quite some time, you are responsible for strapping them in. Who have you left unprotected because you caught up in your feelings? Who has been left unprotected because you refuse to get in position? Who have you left? What toddlers, what infants in the spirit realm have you left unprotected? Have you left not secured because you're not in position? You're not seated. You're not strapped in. Here's the thing. The other piece of that is some of us are seated, but just because you're seated does not mean you are committed. Just because you're seated doesn't mean you're committed. Let me tell you. Pastors and leaders can tell you. And I know there's some pastors and leaders on here, but if y'all back me up now, back me up. Don't leave me out here hanging, right? So there's some pastors and leaders that can tell you. It could be ministry, it could be business. There are some people who are seated, but they are not committed. They show up every single time. They be the first one to raise their hand to volunteer, but then it doesn't mean they are committed. Just because you're seated does not mean you are committed. They're there. They might be there. But just because you're sitting in a seat does not mean that you are necessarily even authorized to sit there. You have to do something. It doesn't just automatically come on. You have to actually pull something. You have to actually move something, and you have to hear it click. You have to hear it click. Some people are pulling the seatbelt, but you have yet to hear it click. You have yet to hear it click. You pulling, but you have yet to hear it click. You're seated, but you're not necessarily committed. So for some people, you are seated and you're committed only when it is attached to your personal agenda. If you gonna get some hype out of it, if you gonna get some recognition out of it, if people gonna see you, if people gonna clap for you, then yeah, you'll try your best to kind of hang in there. That's not committed. You're committed to yourself. That's not commitment to God. That's not commitment to the vision. That's not giving God the glory. You're seeking the glory for yourself. So when you're talking about this seatbelt, when you're talking about seated, you're talking about being stable inside the word seatbelt. If you pull out these two little small words inside the word seatbelt, committed, you are seated, seatbelt, inside the word seatbelt, it means to be at. You have the word be and you pull out the word at. When I'm seated, I'm gonna be at the places that God is telling me to be. When I'm seated and committed to the call, when I'm committed to this position, when I'm committed to the post that I'm sitting on, the position, that means I'm going to be at the places where I need to be. That means ain't nobody gonna have to look for me to ask me why am I not in my seat, because my seat has been reserved. So y'all ever gotten a seat? You paid for a seat? Oh God, here we go. So you paid for a seat, and then when you get to a certain place, somebody is sitting in your seat because you wasn't there on time to sit in it. It's the same thing with us in the body of Christ. We get upset because now somebody is sitting in your seat, but you decide to lollygag. You decided to procrastinate, and now when you show up, somebody else is sitting in your seat, the seat that was reserved for you. But because the program has already started and you weren't in position, that seat is open to anybody who is willing to be seated and committed and to be on time. That ain't on this paper. Yeah. So that's all I came to say is just to make sure that you're in the places where God has called you to be. Um, if you've been in this thing for a long time, it means that you have history with God. And so if you're still questioning where you're supposed to sit, if you're still questioning your position, if you're still questioning the post you're supposed to sit on, if you're still questioning the place you're supposed to be at, if you're still questioning your stability, me too. You're still questioning your stability. You might have to take some time just be like, hey, I need to reevaluate some things. I need to reevaluate some things. So let me say this. So some people are assuming. Here's the thing. We have a lot of people who are assuming, you know, okay, I'm a Christian. I say I'm a Christian. I believe God. I pray this and the other. But you can't even tell me who your covering is. You can't even tell me who your pastor is. You can't even tell me who your pastor is. Y'all, oh gosh, okay. So this morning, I'm just sitting, we just chatting it up, we just chopping it up, just talking it up, right? And so literally, we have gotten to the point where we don't necessarily feel that we have to have a level of accountability. Accountability is almost like a cuss word. And so what happens is, talking about seated, talking about this safety place, this place of safety. So what happens is now we have people who okay, not you. We have people some people. Let me put it like that. Some people, general sense. There are people who forego having a conversation with their leaders. They forego having a conversation with their pastors, their apostles, their bishops, the people that they say steward their souls and steward their life, right? And so what happens is they what I'm seeing is you go ahead and make the decision that you're gonna do XYZ. And then when it doesn't work, you come back to your pastor, you come back to your leader to help you clean up the mess. But if you would have just consulted with them, we ain't trying to run your life. If you would have just consulted with them, if you would have just say, hey, I'm considering XYZ, then maybe you would not have gotten into the mess that you got into because we would have told you, baby, that is not your post. You are out of position. That is not the seat that you need to be sitting in. But because we don't like people telling us what to do, so now not only is your pastor or your leader an afterthought, so is God. That's not on the paper either. Can I get a witness? I've heard this said time and time again. Apostle Darius Jeter, Apostle Dr. Latrice Williams. I've heard so many people say it. Your pastor should not have to look for you. Your leader should not have to look for you. And not just at church. We're talking about on your job. I said it the other day. I don't know where I said it, but I said it the other day. We will respect the job more than we do the house of God. We will respect the supervisor on the job more than we respect those who pray for us, those who we come to counsel us. We will respect them more. So here's the thing. When you decide that this is not the place of the house of worship for you, this is not your church anymore, you at least give the job 2 weeks notice. We look up, we don't see you no more. You at least give the job 2 weeks notice. So now you have unseated yourself without seeking wise counsel. You have gone off and signed this contract. You have gone off and made this deal. You have gone off and started something else, and you started this project, and even to the point where you have said, "Hey, I'm going over here." So it's not even seeking wise counsel. Is I'm telling you what I'm going to do, and you just gonna have to be okay with it. But what if God is telling the men and women of God, the person who you say is your pastor, your leader, the one who helps to steward your life, what if they have a word to say, hey, no, 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 that's not where you're supposed to be, ma'am, that's not where you're supposed to go, sir. So then it becomes, we become the cleanup people because you have not secured yourself in a seat, and now you are in a spiritual collision. Okay. So, so when we think about Psalm 91, we quote Psalm 91, we put it on the wall, we put it on our screensaver. So Psalm 91, this is from the Easy English Bible. If anyone lives in Almighty God's safe place, the Most High God protects that person. I will say to the Lord, you are the strong place where I will be safe. You are my God, and in you I trust. I trust you, God. God will keep you safe so that no trap will catch you. He will not let any illness kill you. He will keep you safe like a bird keeps its baby safe under its wings. Because he keeps his promises, he will keep you safe like a shield and armor. You looking for safety, but you're not abiding. You looking for safety, but you're not even seated. Can I tell you, Apostle, that's a word right there? But here's the thing with that. Apostle William said, I'm not cleaning up anymore. Sit in the consequences you chose. I will pray, period. Here's the thing with that. Now there's a spirit of offense. You mean to tell me you the man and woman of God and you not going to pray for me anymore? You not going to clean up my mess anymore? Mm-mm. You know what they're called? Jesus. They're called sanctified cycles. I don't even know where that came from. They're called sanctified cycles. So what happens is you want to make the men and women of God feel guilty because you keep going through the same cycles over and over again. Sanctification is something you refuse to do. It's a sanctified cycle. So what happens is when this woman of God doesn't help me get cleaned up, then I'll hop over here to go to this person. And when that person doesn't help me get cleaned up, and then I'll go to the next person. And so literally now you want to bash the men and women of God, you want to bash the church do this and the other, but you can always talk about the church that you don't even have a seat in. We are living in the times with it doesn't for most of us it doesn't phase us because it's not a surprise to God. All this is not a surprise to God. So when there's an attack on the church, when there's an attack on the body of Christ, I know the people that I'm connected with, we very the distraction, it doesn't even phase us because not only are we seated, but we're committed and we're in position. And let me tell you why we are seated and we know that we're in position. It's because of the covenant that we have with each other. It is because of the connection that we have with each other. There's a certain level of accountability that all of us have, and we don't get offended by that certain level of accountability. But when you want to be in a seat and not be committed, every little thing will offend you. And you will end up in a spiritual collision because you're not locked in. You're not locked in. Yes. The things that are happening now, people are trying to figure out, why is this happening? It's not a surprise to God. If you've been reading the word, it is not a surprise to God. Okay, look, I just came out here tonight to say, hey, fasten your seatbelt. That's it. That's all I came. Really, that's all I came out to say. Fasten your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelt. For the times that we are living in, you need to be seated. You need to be in position. You need to be in the right position. You need to be on post. Y'all, I know we get tired, we get frustrated, Do not come off your post. If God has not told you to step down, if God has not told you that your season in that space, in that place is up, stay where you are. Stay seated. Get committed. Stay committed. Let me say this too. I know that we have the tendency to pick to pick a church or pick a ministry based on trends. You might want to pray about that. You might want to pray about that. You might want to pray about that. Seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelt. Be at and be in the places where God is calling you to be. And if you are not, if you're the person where I'm still searching, I'm still trying to figure this thing out. Think about how long God has kept you. That doesn't do anything for you. Think about how much God has brought you through. Think about how many times you have messed up over and over and over again, and yet and still he decided that it was good to wake you up again in the morning time. How much is it going to take, y'all, for us to say, hey, maybe I need to get committed? Hey, maybe I need to be still. Maybe maybe I do need to get somewhere and sit down and be committed. Not when you want to be. Fasten your seatbelt. There are things that are happening in the earth. Fasten your seatbelt. The signal has been going off for quite a long time now. Fasten your seatbelt. If what you're seeing in this world, here's the thing, just because it does not happen to you, just because it does not have a direct effect on you, you think it's, oh, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me. No, it all has something to do with all of us. Fasten your seatbelt. The signals are going off. You need to make sure that it clicks. Get seated. Get in position. Stay committed. Get committed. Get committed. Get committed. I know some are trying to find a place that appeases you. And here's the thing: when you get to the place where God wants you to be, don't just go because you want to criticize everything that's happening. Don't just go because you want to be catered to. Can I tell you? I can tell you about some of the. P2 PowerPoint Christian Ministries is not a catering service. Ain't none of this on my notes. Lord, help us today. People are now looking for a catering service where you can pull up the menu and it's an a la carte menu. You get to pick and choose what you want to hear. You get to pick and choose what is the truth. You get to pick and choose when you show up. You get to pick and choose. We're not living in those times, y'all. We're not living in those times. We're not living in those times. I know some people don't look at the news. I look at the news not because I necessarily enjoy the news, but I look at the news to see what's happening. I look at the news to say, God, what do we need to be praying about? What do we need to be praying about? What's happening in the earth? Who is the enemy targeting this time? Where do we need to go deeper? So listen, go back and read Psalm 91. I want you to really sit with it and read it. Some of us are assuming that we're seated and we're not. Just because you show up, just because you post something about Jesus, just because you post a scripture here and there, it does not necessarily mean that you're committed. Commitment looks like you seeking godly counsel before you just run out there and do stuff. Committed looks like when nobody has to look for you and try to figure out where you are. Committed looks like you are respecting leadership. Committed looks like you are respecting your time with God. Committed looks like you are staying posted, you are staying in position even when times get rough. Fasten your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelt. We're seeing what we're seeing now, spiritual collisions all over the place. All over the place. Head on collisions. Some of us are coming into contact, some people are coming into contact with spirits that you have no clue as to what they are, and they are overpowering you. I said the other day, I don't even know it. I know where it came from. We've got to make sure that we know who's in our families and what's in our families, because we keep birthing babies into unhealed bloodlines. We keep birthing babies into unhealed bloodlines, and the cycles continue. Get seated. Fasten your seatbelt. Make sure you hear the clicking sound so that the signal can go off, that alarm can go off, so that you can get to where you need to be. Listen, thank y'all for joining me tonight. I pray that this is a blessing to you. So this is your first time. Go back and look at the other ones. They're a little bit. We'll go back and look at the other ones. Listen, if you are led to sow on tonight, if you're led to sow on tonight, you can do so via Cash App at $LSCM633. That's Cash App $LSCM633. Listen, I am so excited about this time, spending this time with you. I was given the opportunity to be in this seat a couple of years ago now, and it used to be called Thorough Thursday, but then God changed it to the Room, because there's a whole story behind the room, and so yeah, even there sometimes when I don't want to be seated, God, because it takes me out of my comfort zone. God, I don't know if I want to really commit to this, but it's not about me. I can't keep leaving the toddlers and the infants in the back seat unprotected. He's called me to help strap some people in. So I'm going to stay on my post. Stay on my post. So listen, share this with somebody. Like, love, subscribe to our YouTube page. It is LSCM633 on YouTube. Go there, subscribe to our YouTube page. Share it with somebody. I love y'all. I really do. I'm praying. Y'all, it's so much that's happening out here. So much violence that's happening out here. There's it's just so much. It's just so much. We don't have time to be so caught up in our own little personal woe is me. This is the time for us to stick together. This is the time for us to be seated. This is the time for us to get the downloads. This is the time for us to hear the instructions so that you can go and do what you're supposed to do. Because what God has given you to do is needed in the earth. The assignment that you have is needed in the earth. That's why He gave it to you. He's like, we got history, so I can trust you to do this. But when you're not seated, when you won't be at the places where you're supposed to be, when you won't be in position, when you're here one day and you ghost to the next, get in position. It ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. So listen, I love y'all. I pray blessings upon you. Look, don't forget, we're here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, don't forget Pray 365, 5 a.m. prayer Eastern Standard Time, a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Apostle Dr. Latrice Williams, Pray 365. You can find it on YouTube, and also you can look on social media pages, Divine Grace Ministries International as well. And so before we go off, I want to shout out Apostle Darius Jeter. I want to shout out my Apostle Darius Jeter. He has a birthday coming up, y'all, and so he is such a blessing to the body of Christ. And so I just thank God for his life. And so just if you're on his social media platform, if you're a friend or follow, whatever it is, just shout out happy birthday. Just shout out happy birthday. And so we are grateful for all that is happening amongst all of our leaders, all of those we are connected to. Listen, we got to pray for each other. We have to pray for each other. Pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. You know why? Because the enemy is praying also without ceasing. Without ceasing. So listen, I love y'all. I pray God's blessings upon you. I ask that you pray for me and not pray on me. And so I just thank God for you. Listen, I really do. Oh man, I really do hope that when you see, especially those that y'all know folks I'm cool with, right? And so especially when you see us coming online, we're not just on here just to be on here. It literally is because we have a heart for God's people and we want to be obedient. And we won't want to get in trouble with God either. But it is really for his glory. And so, we just want to be able to share the gospel with you. Okay. Okay. Listen, again, I love y'all. I know I said it about 2011 times. And listen, if you are an educator, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Y'all keep these teachers lifted in prayer. It's going to be all right. So have a great evening, y'all. And we will see you in these Jesus streets. Good night.